Okay, so happy Good Friday, or hope everyone's having a good Friday. It's going to be an awesome day today. And so I'm going to do stuff on my computer too. So I've got this whole thing. I don't know that I got it planned out, but this just, if someone asks you a question, Alice, can you show me how universal life works? This is exactly how I would answer it by graphs. Okay. Let me tell you kind of the history of universal life. Really, universal life, if you remember back, actually it's kind of interesting. Back in the days of A.O. Williams, if you remember Art Williams and him starting A.O. Williams, a massive insurance multi-level marketing business back in the late 70s, what they were doing is they were replacing a bunch of whole life policies, because life insurance agents back then were getting compensated quite a bit of money to write whole life policies, which were expensive per $1,000 versus a term policy. But agents were just making a ton of money off whole life. And so what Art Williams had was he created a movement, and literally it's a movement. That's why they just blew up, man. A.O. Williams just blew up because they were hiring coaches and teachers. Is that where they started hiring, who knew people? And that's, their warm market of people were huge. They got, what do we call them, connectors. They hired connectors who were coaches and teachers. And then they started hiring other people that they knew, and it just blew up because their passion was buy term and invest the difference. So instead of paying a lot of money for a whole life, what you want to do is buy a cheaper term policy, and the money you saved, invest it in a mutual fund. So that's what they're doing. They're getting people, and so regular insurance agents hated them because their whole life policies were getting replaced. They're getting chargebacks. I mean, literally, the industry just kind of blew up, and everybody was against Art Williams, which is always kind of interesting. It wasn't for the crowd that's against the one guy. The crowd that's against the one guy, you got to wonder, hey, man, maybe that one guy has something to say. It's kind of like what happened, to Jesus, right? They crucified him, and it's like, why did they do that? Well, because he had something to say, he had truth. Art Williams, trust me, I'm not putting Art Williams in the same level as Jesus Christ, okay? So please don't. But when someone's doing something awesome, everyone tries to tear them down. So a response in the industry to what Art Williams was doing was universal life insurance, interestingly enough. It was sort of their response to come back at the whole trend of people getting rid of whole life. So what they did was they created universal life where you literally buy it's an annual renewable term that you pay for the rest of your life, and then you can put more money into it than what the annual premium is. And that extra money can earn a cash value year after year after year. So basically what you're doing is you're creating a savings account with an insurance company that builds up cash so that in the future that cash can be used to pay the premiums, the excess premiums needed because you're older, to pay that policy premiums in the future, so that you'll have a long-term plan of insurance. And if you fund more than the minimum to get you at age 100, that money compounds and grows over time, so that you could have a nest egg of money in there, and you could earn a decent interest rate depending on what the insurance company did with that excess premium. Okay, so let me draw that out for you and explain what that means. Okay, so when you sell I'm a big graph, I've got my master's in economics, so I'm a big graph kind of guy, right? But instead of supply-demand curves, we're going to show you basically how UL works. So kind of the quick, I'm trying to make this, I don't want to make this 2 hours, okay? So, okay, when let's say the 45-year-old buys a universal life, basically what they buy, so he's age 45, 55, 65, 75, 85, 95. Okay, usually 95, there's only like, I think 2% of people are alive at 95. So 95 is pretty much you're dead. Okay, all right, so what first when a 45-year-old buys, let's say $100,000 life insurance, universal life insurance policy, basically what they're doing is they lock in a cost of insurance. So what it costs to insure a 45-year-old, let's say, is, I don't know, I'm just going to throw a number out there. I'm not going to try to be accurate because it, let's say it's like $25, okay? $25 a month is what it costs to insure a 45-year-old. So when he goes, by the time he's 46, it goes up, 47, 48, 49. Okay, so it just kind of keeps up, okay? The cost of insurance for that year. So he's paying, his premium just does this. It goes all the way up to what it costs to insure a 95-year-old, right, for $100,000, which, this could be, say $700 a month, okay? But Alex, people don't have $700 a month when they're 95. That's right. So how would they have enough money to pay their premiums there? Well, basically what they're doing is they're charging this 45-year-old. I wish I had more specific numbers, but this is just to catch the concept. That's all I'm asking you, to catch the concept. They're paying a constant, let's just say it's $100 a month, just constant over time. Okay, they're going to pay $100 a month. All those, till age 95 till they die. Okay, so this is age of death. Let's just say he dies at 95. So what happens to this excess premium in year one? That's $75, what we call excess premium. Well, that's what the insurance company puts in their investment accounts, a very safe one, so they'll have a return on that $75. And that's where that index part, remember the indexed annuity conversation, this is an indexed universal life where this money goes into a safe account that grows when the market grows, and when the market goes down, it stays the same. In fact, they'll earn just a little bit of an interest rate, minimal amount of interest rate, okay? So when the premium goes up, that means it's less money to go into cash, but that money earned money the first year, and the second year it earns money. So the cash value starts doing this. So 75, so 25 is the cost of insurance, $100. So you got $75 right here is your initial cash value. You add another, say, $74 the next year, okay? And then it compounds, it earns the interest. So all that money starts earning interest. So what happens to your cash value line is it starts doing this. And then if you only fund it at just enough to have enough premiums, it'll do this, okay? So that's kind of the idea. By the time you die, your cash value, if you built it successfully, there's a point where you're paying, see this line right here, where now your cost of insurance is more than what you're paying premiums. This money here in this cash line goes to pay that premium. So if there's not enough premium, this deficit that you see right here, okay, on the cost of insurance, this is COI, cost of insurance line, that deficit is paid out of this cash. So this is all cash. This is all, wish I had green, but we'll just put it in blue. This is all cash. And out of the cash, then, makes up the difference in this premium. So they need, let's say here they need an extra, $25, it gets paid out of cash. And then, by the time he's $700 a month, it's using up all the cash. So you see the cash value crashing pretty quick because the cost of insurance is really high. So if you wanted a UL to be perfect to where there was only enough cash to take him to the age of death, that's what happens, okay? Now I'm going to unmute and see if anyone has any questions.
Question. Alex, I have a question.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
You said that it's a renewable policy, so every year it's being renewed. If the client, if the client's health is being deteriorated throughout the years, would that affect the price of his insurance throughout the years as well?
No,
or
not at all. Not at all. Not at all. What they're assuming, like all insurance, is they're assuming as long as they keep their premium payment going, the underwriting is based, and the cost of insurance is based on what they determined his health was when they underwrote it.
Okay. Okay.
So you buy a locked-in cost of insurance line throughout the rest of his life. Never changes. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay, like, seriously, ask questions now, gang, because I'm not going to explain this again, ever. No, just kidding.
All right.
Alex, I have
Okay.
a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry, Paul, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Okay, thanks. Hey, it's Ellery. So I know that this is a flexible product. So does that mean that later on, say now on your graph, the guy is now 65. So 20 years has gone by, and he now realizes that he wants more. Can he up his death benefit, or does he just pay more, or what's the flexible part in that if he's 20 years in?
The flexible part is he can pay less premium, he could pay more premium, he can vary his, typically what happens is they drop their face value lower. Now notice what happens, if you drop your face value lower, what happens to your cost of insurance line? Because the amount of what you're funding.
Yeah.
So that goes down, what happens to your cash value? There'll be more cash value available.
Yeah, yeah.
That will. So like when your insurance goes down, the cash value it'll earn more cash. In fact, that's one of the strategies is if you don't need 100,000, you drop it down your death benefit, your cash value will grow. And in fact, you can have more cash value. See, less cash value is being eaten up by your cost of insurance.
Yeah, okay, I get it.
It's this balloon. Think of it like this balloon. It's like a balloon that expands and grows. Okay?
So that might be smarter than for retirement or something for somebody, you know, now they have their house paid off, now they have things paid off, or they're starting to collect Social Security or whatever, drop their face value down from 100 to 50, say, whatever, but continue to still pay the same premium.
Right, that's correct.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay, so this is 100,000. Okay, so this is based on what we call option A. Option A means that the insurance amount stays the same. So this is the part I did not tell you about because I forgot to add it in here. There's a lot of moving parts, but let me introduce this moving part. Because you have 100,000 that stays the same over time, your cash value becomes part of your death benefit. So that first year you put extra $75. If you died that first year, they would pay $999,925 plus the $75 that you had in cash to make $99,000. Sorry, to make up $100,000. See how that works? Your cash value on option A level benefit, the cash value is also part of your death benefit. So here's the other thing that goes on. When I say your cost of insurance, this is cost of insurance per $1,000 of insurance. All right? So as the cash value goes up, the amount of insurance decreases that the insurance company's on the hook for because you're earning cash value that becomes part of your death benefit. So even though your cost of insurance goes up, the amount that you're covering goes down. Okay? And so that's kind of how the cash it starts to grow more because your cost of insurance covers less amount of insurance. Like notice you have to have a certain amount called the corridor. If you remember back to your days of studying for this stuff, this is called the corridor of insurance. And in other words, the company has to be on the hook I don't know what it is. I've seen about 15,000. They have to be on the hook for a certain amount of insurance liability on their part. So there's always going to be, sometimes you'll see your death benefit, in fact, in this period, can sometimes even go up and then go back down, okay? Because they have to keep that corridor. But notice that even though the premium could be high, the amount of insurance is low that they're covering. So that's kind of the game, and it's a really awesome game that can be played with Universal Life. Okay, now I threw that in there. Okay, does everyone understand that now? Because if you understand how these curves move, how this balloon, the different balloons move, then you'll totally understand what you're doing on your software. Okay, so anyone have any questions on that part? Okay, crystal clear? It's really kind of cool. When you think about how these products are designed, I mean, it's really brilliant, in my opinion. Okay? Okay, so let me explain what the increasing thing does. And once you get the increasing death benefit option, then that'll be awesome right there. Okay, so let's stay with the line. Okay, so now we're talking 100,000. Option B, increasing. Now, why do I show you the increasing? The increasing is important because for someone who wants to put cash in it in their policy, and it allows what we call more headroom, that they can put more cash in it. So if they're really after big cash, oh, that is not a toilet flushing. That is not a toilet flushing. That was someone washing their dishes. Okay, so what's option B? Option B is 10,000 death benefit. I'm going to draw it lower here so you can see. Option B is, okay, so let's draw the cash value. See, so the cash value, we'll do the typical thing. Okay, but if it's increasing death benefit, that means you have to have 100,000. I'm going to draw it lower. So this is 100,000. Let's look at noise. So the 100,000 will remain there. So it'll match the curve. Okay, so I mean, I'm going up here. Okay, so this is 100,000, 100,000 on top of the cash value. 100,000, 100,000. So that's, even up here it's 100,000 because I didn't draw, because it would be like go up here. So that, think of it up there, okay, up here. So that's 100,000 corridor, okay? So in order to fund 100,000 of insurance all the time that the company's on the hook for, okay, so that's why, like, for example, you see here, you got this cash value. Okay, so this might be, and it wouldn't be that soon, but this might be 100,500, and this might be 100,000, 112,000, and 150,000, and it goes back down. But you always have 100,000. So what the insurance gurus, the insurance federal governing authorities allow you to do is it allows you to put more cash in here, because they realize that out here you're funding 100,000 of life insurance with the increasing cost of insurance. So they're going to let you put more money into it so you can grow your cash. So when you're trying to get a client to really rock their cash value, I like to choose increasing so they can put a bunch of money in it early, and then you could change it to level. Like up here, you can change it then to level. So what happens is you stick a bunch of money in, so it starts compounding, 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 and then fix a level. And what happens here is it starts rocking. The cash value still grows and grows, and the cost of insurance per thousand keeps going up, but the amount of insurance starts shrinking. But you had all this freaking cash back here that sometimes the cash doesn't go down. The cash, there's so much cash growing that it just keeps going up. It just, it keeps growing to the point where it doesn't ever go down. And that's the beauty of being able to mess with the cost of the increasing option B, switching it to level A in the future. Okay, so that's a cool way to play with the numbers where you can get your client rocking with cash, and then dropping this, and then even when you do that, go to level, and then when you drop the cash down, that's when your cash just like explodes. It's pretty cool, you know. And there's what I love about the software is that it allows you to do it, to play with it, so you can do it yourself. And this is where you just rock and roll with the illustration software. Okay, so I'm going to mute and see if everyone caught that concept. Okay, does that make sense? Going from increasing to decrease to level. Option B is increasing. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes. So Alex.
Okay, yeah.
I have a customer. She already got a policy for herself. She wants to get policies for her kids. SmartUL.
Yeah.
And she doesn't want to spend a whole ton of a lot of money, but she wants it to have the most increasing. So she was thinking somewhere around $50,000 to $25,000 of coverage. What would you do for rocking more cash value? Because I think that seems to be where she would want to be.
Look, on that, I would do low amount of insurance and max out the cash value on an increasing policy. Because the thing about increasing policies, the death benefit goes up. And then, you know, hopefully you're still around to God enough to, okay, now this is when you want to change it from increasing to level. Once you get enough insurance in there, and then the money keeps going up. So that's what I would do. And decrease the amount of insurance that you're applying for so the cost is reasonable. Because remember, it's all about cash. You know, I mean, certainly you want the death benefit. Remember, all this is death benefit. You're selling life insurance. Okay, you're not selling. You're selling a vehicle basically that provides life insurance. All right, so that's kind of the underlying thing about this whole thing. There's so much you can do with this tax-free retirement planning, giving their kids some, a thing that can generate cash for the future. Okay. Again, a lot of moving parts, but parts that you can manipulate to get the ultimate result that the client wants and needs. Okay. And it just takes a lot of time working with the software to just play with it, man. Play with it. It's fun. It's fun for me. I like doing that kind of stuff. But I'll tell you what, gang. If you understand cost of insurance line, if you understand the investment of the excess premium and cash value that grows, okay, to fund future premiums, the idea of the corridor of insurance on a option A decreasing, if you understand option B and increasing, where you put more money into it, this is really all you got to know. Like if you understand all these curves, and this is just like economics, if you understand supply-demand curve, then you can like predict a lot of things in general. All right, here it's the same thing. This is maybe why I love Universal Life, because it reminds you of economics. You understand how the curves work, then in your mind, as you're doing the software, it totally rocks, okay? Now, the question I get is, Alex, what is the difference between whole life? Why is whole life, not really generate cash? Well, whole life, number one, it's a guaranteed product. So this is not guaranteed, okay? So that's one thing about Universal Life. It's not a guaranteed type of policy because you can't guarantee the interest rate. There is a minimum guarantee, but the minimum guarantee won't fund the thing all the way out. All right, so you're banking that the interest rate they're going to experience is better than the minimum. Okay, because the minimum, and I'll show you on the software, if you just go with the minimum premium, which is like maybe here, it'll do this, and it'll crash early before they're dead. So this is like the minimum line. And target might even be a little bit higher, but it'll crash here too, but it won't go to the very end. The cash value surrender solve that's in the Forester software will guarantee to go out to 120. Okay, so that curve will drop down to 120. Okay, there's going to be enough to get there. All right. So, all right. Okay, I don't want to spend that much time. Okay, does everyone catch that concept? Because I'm going to start getting into software now. Let's get into the software.
Yeah, Alex, I have one kind of question about the non-guaranteed part.
Yeah.
All right, so I sat down with I sold 2 policies recently to customers who had Transamerica UL, and they had a fixed rate, I think a guaranteed percentage rate, but I also read in the news that basically their policy like crashed out, and they couldn't have, like, they couldn't afford their UL anymore, and so they only wanted term, even though they were 62 and 70 years old. I couldn't even convince them to even look at a UL. So, it looked like they raised that, even though Transamerica raised the, what do you call it, they kept the interest rate steady, and that was like a guaranteed interest rate. I guess they raised the cost of insurability. So I don't know. I didn't know how to like overcome that, because a UL would have helped these people more than.
Are you talking about a
15-year term? They wanted a term, but then they got a term from me because they didn't want a UL again, because they felt. Okay,
yeah. Well, let me tell you what happened to that UL. All right, like maybe their cost of insurance went up, but more likely what happened was the stupid agent didn't have them funded enough. Okay, the stupid agent. The stupid agent, what he did was he was trying to sell them on, trying to close the deal on a price they can afford, but he wanted to get paid, and he shouldn't have funded it so low.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what he did. He screwed them, because he tried to sell a low-funded, and here's what happens. It crashes. And in order for it to keep going, sorry, sir, you got to raise your premium another $100 a month to keep it viable, because it's going to crash tomorrow.
It went
3
times. Yeah, it was 3 times the price.
Okay, well, that was a stupid agent. So I'm trying to teach you not to be a stupid agent. I swear to God, man, if any of you ever sell at minimum or target, I'm going to freaking squeeze your head off your shoulders, because you're screwing the client. No, I mean, seriously, dude. You do that, I'm going to freaking fire you, because you should not be selling life insurance if you sell at the minimum, because it's going to crash, unless that's what they want. If they want it to crash early, which is that's a viable option, then sell it at minimum. Okay? Well, Alex, they just could only afford this. Well, then, dadgummit, drop the face value down so they could have their policy. Remember, now you know how the lines work. Okay? Now you know how the lines work. You can adjust the lines. What line can you adjust? The death benefit you can drop down, right? Because then the cost of insurance goes down, and the amount that they fund stays the same. They're going to have more cash value that will grow in the future to be able to fund the policy. Okay, just like economics. Do you guys understand how that works? It's all about cost and how much cash is there to pay in the out years. Okay, did that make sense to anybody, or does it just make sense to me?
No, it makes sense.
Okay.
No, it's perfect.
Honestly, I'm not trying to be sarcastic, but I hate agents that underfund you well. Like, seriously, I do. I hate you if you underfund you well and you screw the client. You ought not to be in insurance. Okay, I'm just trying to make myself clear, because that's how I feel. So, Paul, you should have threw that agent under the bus. You said, ma'am, sir, I'm sorry, but that agent was just trying to close and make money off you, because he was only trying to get you into something that he was going to make money on, but he didn't fund this correctly. See, that's the danger of these universal life policies, or overblowing the interest rate, right? Overblowing the interest rate. Okay, so can I move on now?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Let's go. I'm going to mute now. Okay. Okay, so let's cover a concept with the software. Okay, so this is, okay, so here's the Foresters software. Can you guys see it okay? Okay, so I like using Foresters because you can do a lot of fancy stuff with it. Okay, but let's talk about the difference between the running SmartUL on your phone versus really running it. Okay, so let me show you it on the smartphone. Okay, so Foresters, let's run a UL on somebody. So let's take a SmartUL. Okay, let's take a non-medical, say state of Ohio. And you're trying to mail with the tail. No, just kidding. Cord remembers that. Remember Cord, mail with the tail back in the Amway days? We call wimpy distributors mail with the tail. I know you're laughing. Okay, so 100,000, and we're going to quote. Let's just say straight up. Okay, get quote. So let's see what happens. So we see that the quote is $76.98 a month. And you're thinking, oh, I just sold it with a great SmartUL that'll last forever. Okay, let's click on commissionable target premium. Okay, the target premium. So this is the minimum premium. The target premium is $107.36 per month. So let me show you what happens at each one of those. Okay, so we got this, let's do it in the software. Non-med. So near stage, remember this is a near stage product. These near stage, did I say 45? Yeah, 45, non-tobacco. Okay. And we did 100,000. All right. And it's level, so that's assumed to be level in the software. The phone software, you can only do so much. Okay, so instead of the cash surrender value solved, which funds it totally, let's do minimum premium, okay, which is the $76.98. All right, let's just go at a glance. $76.98. Let's see what happens to the cash. Accumulation value. See how it kind of goes up. Like, see, this first year, it's got 360, 696, 1018. See, it goes up. Notice that the death benefit is the same. So this is the scenario of staying the same. So if the guy died the first year, they pay him out 100,000, but 360 of that is his own cash value. Now notice it only goes to age 75. See here, the cash value goes up, and it maxes out at about age 67 with $7,000, and then notice it decreases. That's because the cash value is being depleted because its cost of insurance, even though it's a less of a cost of insurance, because the amount of insurance covered is less than 100,000, it's still enough to overcome the cost being drawn down, and the policy crashes at age 75. Now, if you wanted a policy to last 30 years at age 75, well then, you know, look how much accumulated premium was, 27,328. You know, he might as well got a, you know, let's take a look at, I'm now curious. Okay, so let's take a look at what that would have been if it were strong foundation. So 45. So you're making basically SmartUL act like a term. So that's 100,000. Get quote. So 66.59. That's 761 annual. So 761 times 30 years. So what is that? 761 times 30. 22,830. So notice, 22,830 versus 27,328. That number versus that number right there. So in essence, he should have just got a term policy from you instead of SmartUL. Okay, so that shows you there what we're talking about. Okay, so let's so you see that doing it minimum. So let's see what happens when we put in the target premium. Okay, so let's change from minimum premium to specified, well, target. Okay, so let's look at what happens to target at the 107.36. Yeah, this says 107.35. Wow, it goes all the way to age 90. Now we're talking. Okay, so 90, he could be dead or he could be alive. Is this good enough to take him all the way? Yeah, you could maybe get away with selling him that. Okay, I'm more of a fan of getting him to 95, 100, 120. So that's 107.36. So let's see what it would take. But notice, it peaks out at 36,596. So at age 80, it peaks out at 36,596, and then it starts crashing. See that? See that right here? How the cash value starts getting drawn down to zero at age 90. So target, so he's paying like $20, $30, almost $30 more a month to get it to last till 90. So really what you're seeing, it's kind of like you're chucking mortars. So, you know, you only have so much gunpowder to chuck a mortar, okay, to age 90 or to age, 85 or whatever it was when his previous one. Now it's to age 90. Let's do cash surrender value solve and see what happens. So this is why I like cash surrender value solve, because you're always, which is the default, that kind of maxes it out. Yeah, well, yeah, especially on the older people, the target premium is way low. So if this guy was 65-year-old at target, it would crash sooner because you're starting at a, later time in his life. So I'm answering a question or a comment. Okay, so notice that so for $7 more, basically $8 more a month. Notice 115.66. Notice how the cash value just keeps going up and up until it peaks out at 67,000 at 92, and then it goes down, but then it goes all the way to age 121, right? So what happened was they just got it to enough where it does start going down, right? So let's take a look at another premium option where let's just jam money in it. Let's show you what happens when they jam money in it. So this is where we get to specified premium. Okay, so let's, instead of 117, let's do 130 a month. Notice how 130, you were only talking about $15 more a month. Look what happens. Nowhere does it peaks all the way to age 121. It keeps going up. How's that possible? How that possible is, notice the quarter of insurance went up, age 83. It went up to 103,299, 110, 118. Well, the reason why this is because the amount of premium put in that has grown, compounded over years, put so much money into it that even though the cost of insurance goes super high, there's so much money in it that if they take the premiums, there's still more money that grows based on the interest rate. See how cool that is? There's kind of this tripping factor, this tipping point where it starts jamming all the way up. And it's pretty cool, man. So that's how you can just totally play with this. So let's show you the difference on increasing. Okay, let's show you what the increasing. So how do you choose that? See this? And let's just go with minimum. And let's go increasing death benefit. So I'll show you the difference between at the minimum premium level. What is that? Well, it's still $76.98. It's the amount to put this policy in force. But on increasing, okay, it goes to age 75. And notice that the increasing amount, it increases according to cash value. So $38.23 in cash means they're going to get paid $103,823. Okay, so again, it's like a 30-year term. It's 29-year term basically, and then they had a lot of cash, and then it went up. And you really wouldn't want to fund it at minimum anyway, but I'm showing you what that does. Okay, let's go target. 107.35, just like it was before, but it goes up to age 84. So notice, because it's increasing, the amount of cash drawn down to cover the 100,000, full 100,000, it costs so much that it crashes even sooner than the 90 that we had before. Okay, and let's do cash surrender value solve. It's where you really okay, it's jamming. Well, you see it going down, but you see this cash value and the amount of insurance. Like when they're likely to die, they start up with 100,000. Okay, they're likely to die at 85, 90. But look how much death benefit. It's more than double the death benefit. Okay, and they could have borrowed cash along the way here, but this one, this policy is like totally jamming out. All right, so. So when you play with this, it starts to make more sense. Like, okay, how would if I wanted it just to go to age 100, okay, based on the interest rates, okay. Now, in fact, before I do that, oh yeah, commission, by the way, commission on SmartUL, you only get paid on target. So anything above target, you don't get paid on. So you're not paid on the full amount. You're paid on up to target. After target, it's actually a small amount. I think it's 1%. You get paid 1% of the premiums over target premium. So, all this stuff we're saying, all that amount above target, so target's 107, that extra 90, 80 something bucks, you don't get paid on that. All right, so just so you know what to expect on commission, you take target, and that's what you're going to be commissioned on. All right, so now I'm thrown off. What was I going to talk about? Okay, so this is increasing. So let's go back to normal level. Now let's go back to okay, so let's keep it at cash surrender value solved. And so we have 115.66, 100,000. This is level benefit. It'll go all the way to age 100. Okay. Age 121. I'm sorry. Okay. Now, how do you get it? If you wanted to lower the premium, you could. If they say, well, this is too expensive. But I really want 100,000. Well, then I would just start dropping the premium a little bit. So here's how you play with that. I got so many things to show you, but specify premium. So let's take it down to 100, and what happens? Okay, age 86. So you can just change it here. Let's go to 105. Again, closer to 89. 110. 92. 112. Okay. This will show you the tipping point. 94. See, this is how you start shaving dollars, but this tells you shows you 114. This shows you the sensitivity to $1 or two, and then it gets to the tipping point of going, so this age 96. Okay, let's go 117. I like doing the sensitivity analysis. See, 117. Isn't that like a few bucks? Look at what happens. It goes to 121, and the cash value continues to go up, even when it's forced to. See right here, it's forced to go up to 103,098 because the corridor of insurance. So what is that corridor of insurance? How much the company, remember we talked about, so what is that? So that's 103,098 minus 98,189. Okay, so it's 5,000. The corridor is 5,000. So they got to be on there for $5,000. Okay. All right. So let's talk interest rate. The lowest interest rate I've ever seen in this product is 5.65%. It's now illustrated at 5.85%. It's when interest rates like 3 years ago were really at the lowest we've ever seen them. Okay. So let's talk about the sensitivity of interest rate. Okay. How can we look at that? Now this is where you don't mess with this too much. Okay, so let's say the interest rate goes back down to the lowest. Let's see how the funding changes. 5.65. Now remember, any changes here you make is permanent unless you change it back. So now it's 5.65, the lowest interest rate. Let's see how far it goes. Funded at cash surrender value solve. Okay, so notice it went from, the 117 went all the way to 121. Now that the interest rate went down, it only goes to age 97. So that's how sensitive interest rates can be. So let's take it to, but that's the lowest. So you can feel comfortable that if that was the lowest interest rate that we've ever seen in this product, that if it ever dropped that low again, and it stayed there for the next, 50 years that this person's alive, which is highly unlikely. But if it did, it still would take them to really near the age of death, 97. Okay? So let's take it down 5.5, see what happens. Now take it to 95 also. That's kind of cool. All right. So let's okay, so notice the rate stayed the same. So it's 5.85. All right. Okay, so let me show another concept. Like, if you've got a healthy client, now healthy meaning they can fit into this product. My thing is, why write a plan right? Oh, come on. When you can write a SmartUL, come on. So let's do a plan right on a 65-year-old. And I'll do it for Scott Mills in Muscle Shoals, Alabama. We'll keep this guy. So let's go 25,000. They want to get the max they can get. So level benefit is 127.07. Okay. So let's do this guy Nearest age, 65. Let's just, baseline it. Same. Non-tobacco. $25,000. Level benefit. Let's do cash surrender value solve. $93.39. So not only do they pay, $34 less, but they got some cash they could borrow against. And, even though this is not guaranteed. So that the advantage of this is that they get more money, or it's cheaper, right? $93.39. And, so it's way cheaper, or you can look at it this way. Let's see the equivalent. Let's do it by premium. Whoops. 93. Let's see how much they would get on a whole life. So notice, they can only get 18,000. Okay, so in other words, 18,206 is the most they can get based on 93.39. So, sometimes it makes sense to write SmartUL versus PlanRight. Plus, SmartUL has all those other critical and chronic illness benefits. So that might be another reason why you want to write SmartUL for that. Let's see what else. There's another. Well, I'm going to stop here and entertain questions. So, wow, so good. Okay, so I went through a lot of different scenarios. Is there any questions or comments or?
I have a ton of questions, Alex. I might want to just call you later.
Well, I'd be curious what those are.
I want to do, I guess my first question, and I'm sorry for the texts that you're getting that are trickling in from me. My phone is not sending texts as I'm on the phone, so just disregard everything.
Okay.
My biggest thing, too, I guess, is when you're showing how the especially on the increasing, how that death benefit column on the far right is going up, and then that the cash accumulation column and the surrender column and everything like that. Is there a point then later in the client's life where if they chose to just take out the money or just cancel it and take all the money or whatever, is that one of those columns? Say you started this at this 45-year-old guy and 30 years into it, he's got X amount of money sitting over there, and he doesn't want it anymore. He doesn't want the insurance anymore. He doesn't want the policy anymore. What is the option for him then?
Okay, well, let's show it.
Thank you.
So let's say we got a 45-year-old.
Yep.
It's 100,000. We're doing increasing. So let's just take a look at what it shows for this guy.
Yep.
So that's $195.80 a month. And you can see all that cash is like growing. So let's say he goes, you know what? I'm going to be self-insured by this point out here, like 85. Let's see how much I could take out and change my policy up. So this is what you would do. This goes to playing with this sucker. It's a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's take out 100,000 from certificate year.
One more zero.
Oops. 100, 1, 2, 3. Let's do that certificate year. You know what? I forgot what that line was. Let's just say 30 to be 75. Let's say 40 years. Yeah, 40. through just 1 year. Let's just take a loan out. Let's see what happens. I don't know what's going to happen, but let's see what happens. So we took it out year 40. So
Okay,
notice this
so
100,000 pops up as a loan, that loan line.
okay.
So the cash surrender, notice the cash surrender. So this is what I've always said, and this is a great way to illustrate it. Notice that the cash surrender value went down to 138, 159, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the death benefit went down to 238, 159. That reflects 100,000. But notice that the policy still goes. So you could take a lump sum of 100 grand and spend it however he wants to and pay no taxes on it. But check this out. This line right here, the accumulation value, is still the same. And and the interest rate he's earning is based on the accumulation value. So he's earning interest on this money as if that... Where does his premium go up?
Because they were trying to show you the same type of policy until the age of 121 with the loan of 100,000.
Well, his premium's the same because this premium line is premium line, 3019.
That's $250 a month, $251 a month.
Oh, his his modal premium went up.
Yes.
Okay, so his modal premium went up to, I don't know if that was that the same premium for a 45-year-old increasing?
So this is, I guess that what you've all may be saying is if you're setting it up to pre-plan to take out that 100 grand, like if you know in advance that you are going to take out the 100 grand at that age, they're going to set up the premium differently from day one to make sure that it can still continue to increase, right? Would that be right, Yuval?
That was my understanding when I worked with the program, when I played with it. You're right.
Okay. So, but if you don't pre-plan to take out the 100 grand, I mean, you still could, and it might make some alterations in the policy. Obviously it would, but you don't have to, I guess, say now that you're planning on taking out some money later.
Yeah, so it's 195.80.
Yeah, please, Alex, I'm sorry.
No, you're right. Like if you're not planning to take money out, I'm sorry, this thing got screwed up. Hold on. Increasing 100,000. Oh, crap. I don't know if I host this.
There it is, back to the 195 I just saw. So this is back to the original one you, yep.
Right.
So I guess, okay, so leave it right there for a sec. Yeah, wait, go back to the... So I'm thinking like this 45-year-old guy, in 20 years, when he's 65 years old, if he just decides, you know what, hey, I want to take as much money as I can out. I'm retired now. I want to, travel the world with my spouse, whatever. How much money can he get out of it? Where's that number?
Alex, if you mind, I can answer it. It's on the surrender value column. Every year, the surrender value column will represent how much money you will be able to take at that point in time if you want to cancel the policy.
Okay, the surrender column, okay.
Well, the surrender column is how much he can take and the policy dies. It's like no more.
Okay. So that is like cash it out, you're done, policy,
yes,
it's over, and you've got money in your pocket. That's the surrender column. Okay.
Yes.
Alex?
No. All right.
Alex?
Yeah.
Go ahead. I think what's being missed
I think an important point, though, on not crashing the policy is having it become taxable income. So take it down to $1 left in the policy, and then you can pull it out tax-free. So maintain the policy to death.
How do you do that, Karen?
Keep $1 in the cash value.
So is there like a little box where you can put that?
Well, okay.
The company won't let you take more than you can take without crashing it, without warning you that you're crashing it.
Okay.
Correct, Alex?
Right. You can't take the strategy is to take loans out so you're not taxed. When you take withdrawals out, there's a possibility of you being taxed. So that's why you want to take loans. And if you take a loan and have $1 left, and that's what Karen is suggesting, then it doesn't appear to be a withdrawal. You're taking a loan, or they'll let you take, a loan up to whatever the max is. But I think now we're getting into a little bit of stuff that you don't want to start getting into this with your client. But you can, like I said, you can play with this. Another way to do this is specify a schedule for increasing. So you can have it increasing from year 1 to 20. Increasing. And then level from 21 to 76.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's good.
And then, so you can see that it was increasing to 133, and then you stopped at year 20. Now it's level, right? And then look at you see the cash is growing faster than it would have been had you just kept, increasing all the time. So that's another way to play with. Yeah, and this is where, play with it. It's a lot of fun. Now, okay, so having said that, if you show this illustration, the client likes it, the illustration they have to sign is no changes in the beginning. Like if you have it on increasing, they have to sign an illustration that is increasing for the entire life of the, because they can't predict what they will or will not do. They're not signing up to a contract to do anything. The illustration they have to sign is the one that doesn't make any changes. It's how it starts today. Even though they plan to do something different later, they have to sign the illustration that is what they're doing today, not what they think they're going to do. Okay? Does that make sense? All right. Any other questions? Yeah, what else you got?
I have more, but it's okay. It's because I want to write one of these on Jay, and so obviously I want, I want to understand it more than I already do, and I want it to be the most beneficial, for us as a couple in the future. And I don't know if I want to take up more of everybody else's time or your time right now. So maybe we could set up something to chat up a little bit more in depth later, if that would be okay with you. Because sure. I know there's so many parts to this, and I think some of my questions are a little bit more, what's going to benefit him and I versus what I would talk about with a client in somebody's home. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And how paying, 10 more bucks here or yeah, okay, so exactly what you just did. That is what I'm wondering. Taking out the $10,000 loans later in life or whatever, and how that's exactly what I want to know.
And remember, what the insurance company's defaulting here with this illustration software is how to keep your policy going to age 121, right? So that is a constraint that they're levying upon this, which is why that premium goes up, why it's suggested to go up. So, there's the premium information, you can do specify a schedule. So you even do a, 250 from 1 to 30, and then 0. Let's see what happens when you stop making payments after your, let's say.
So so you just set that to pay $250 a month for 30 years and then not pay anything else.
Right.
Is that what you just did? Okay.
Yep. So notice this premium says $3,000. Now you're taking 10 grand out, and then you're paying for that. To do that is $250 a month. So notice you funded it enough that you have this insurance, plus you have the $10,000 withdrawal or loan, and you have this accumulation value that's rocking. Wow, that's pretty wild, man. How did that do that? How is that possible? This is really interesting.
That is pretty awesome. Okay, so when you get down to that 500,000 when they're 100 years old, or even go to a more realistic one, go to age 90, and it's $300,000. What does that amount mean? That if they wanted to cancel the policy altogether, they could take out $299,000 and put it in their pocket?
Yeah, it's 71,000.
Oh, that column. Okay.
95.
So then if this person dies...
okay, I got it. See, because this is accumulated loans. So this pays off the loan. When you die, your death benefit is accounted for. So they're assuming they're going to pay these loans off when you die at age 90. That's why you're only going to have $110,000 of an accumulated value. Okay, remember I said that your accumulated value earns an interest rate? Well, it still does even if you take this money out. But when you die, you pay the loans off, and that's why it shows $103,790.
So what does the beneficiary get then if this guy dies when he's 90? The $110,000?
$110,000.
Okay. So they've only paid into it for 30 years. They've taken loans out ever since, and then the guy dies when he's 90, and the wife still gets $110,000. Yes. Or the child or whatever. Okay. Wow, that's awesome.
So that's not bad for $250 a month over the span of, that time 30. So that's $90,000. So they put $90,000. What's that? 3,000 times 30 is $90,000, isn't it? So they put $90,000 in it. He got, well, if he dies at 90, he got that many years, 15 years of 15 years of $10,000, $150,000, and the wife gets $110,000 of a death benefit.
That's awesome.
That ain't bad, is it?
See, that's what I want to do. That's what I need to set up. Just pay for a certain amount of years, get loans for a certain amount of years, and then still have something there when he croaks.
That's cool. Wow, that was a good exercise. I mean, you can just play with this. And that's why I encourage you guys to just play with it. The Foresters one's so easy. The F&G one is just hard. I played with the Transamerican one, and it just, man, maybe I'm just more familiar with Foresters. It just seems so much easier to me. So, anyway. Makes sense? Anyone got any other questions?
Thank you so much for doing this.
Oh, no problem. Just play. Just play with it.
Alex?
I hope that, yeah, go ahead.
Hey, it's Karen. One more thing that Foresters has really emphasized to us in our training when we've done them up here with this product is don't sign an illustration and send it in, because there's so many things so many little things you can do wrong on that illustration that'll hold up your policy. Use the in lieu of illustration form and just mark what your intents are on that. I intend it to be level. I intend the premium to be this. We're using cash value accumulation, or we're using guideline premium. Whatever your choices are that you made when you ran the illustration and looked at it with the client, just write that on the in lieu of form, and then Foresters generates the illustration and sends it out with your policy.
Ooh, good tip.
Yeah, in fact, I'm trying to bring that.
And if you do something as small as misspell the client's first name, the illustration is invalid.
Hey,
Karen, is that form in the packet, in the paper packet?
Nope, but it's a one-page form Alex just put on the screen.
Oh, okay, yeah, there it is.
Yeah,
Okay.
so the one I check off the computer illustrate screen illustration.
Yep.
And here's the other thing. Like I don't want to say this, but I do want to say it, so I'll say it. It's okay. Let me bring that. Okay, it's so much easier to show them this illustration like this because it shows premium accumulation of surrender value death benefit. Okay, versus the real illustration. Well, I'm not saying that you should hide anything, but this one, it's got the guaranteed. It's got the guaranteed assumption, which maybe you ought to discuss. But like when it crashes at age 80 under the guaranteed cost, you know, then you have to go into a discussion. I mean, you probably ought to, but it's just more stuff that you can discuss when you deliver the policy, when they actually sign this. Or I don't think they sign it. They just it's in there, in other words. So showing them a paper illustration is a little bit tougher than showing them the computer illustration, which is way easier because it just shows the positive picture, okay? Cool. Well, thanks for mentioning that, Karen.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Hey, Alex.
Yeah.
Hey, I've always found it very useful to look at that first video you did on SmartULs. Is that still out there somewhere?
Yes, it is. It is.
That's a good one too for everybody to look at.
Okay, good. This will be my part two. Part two. I didn't know how good that one was or not. So, in fact, I
thought it was great.
I have two UL presentations. But this, we got into more detail as it turns out. So that's good. We got a couple of things you guys can look at and, you know, get smart on. Get smart, y'all, on. Anyway. All right, gang. I don't think I have any more words in my head to speak, so I'm going to go to Good Friday services here. Hope you all have a great Easter and holy season here. And, man, thanks for spending a little time. And let's rock and roll, man. Let's make this a great, great week. The last week in March. This is where everything happens. All promotions start or finish in this 5-week month. So rock and roll. Thanks, everybody. Take care. God bless.
Thank you.